it's a system that Viktor Gyökeres might feel more comfortable with, because if you look at the players that he has most joint goal contributions with, they're wingers. And where's Arsenal's best game? On the right with Bukayo Saka. They're looking for a winger on the left-hand side. And you talk about build-up. You look at Benjamin Sesko's passing numbers, they're abysmal compared to Viktor Gyökeres. Sure, they're playing in a more difficult league, but it's like a 10 to 15% drop-off. It's much worse than Viktor Gyökeres' accuracy. You know that you're going to get a quality player. And here's the thing. How old is Benjamin Sesko? 22 years old. How old is Viktor Gyökeres? 27. And for Arteta, with the new sporting director and the project that Arsenal need, it's not within 5 years when Benjamin Sesko hits his prime. We're talking about Arsenal needing to be good. Not now. Yesterday they needed to be good. Arsenal needs to be able to compete for a Champions League with the likes of PSG. And who's in his prime right now? It's Viktor Gyökeres.
I love that for the opposite reasons. I love the youth that he has. I love his durability that he has with the likes of a Leipzig. And I just love the fact that he can play multiple positions. So we know that Mikel Arteta likes his strikers to do different things. The most important thing has to be to score goals now. The concern I have with the Viktor Gyökeres is when Arsenal get into the final third. Yes, playing those balls into the box across the face of goal is one thing, but he gives them a different dynamic that they don't have with the likes of Viktor Gyökeres. Is the guy can score headed goals. Now, if you're Bukayo Saka and you clip it in, if you're Martin Odegaard and you clip it in, balls in the air, that's one criticism that I have for Arsenal. It becomes too predictable at different times, and that's cost them in the run-in for the Premier League. So the ability to give a different dynamic, to start clipping balls into the box and have someone who can actually put a headed finish onto it gives the team a new look, and it's something that Kai Havertz doesn't do enough of, and this guy's got a killer instinct. He's got the ball striking ability that I love, where he can score, he can create his own goals in ways that Viktor Gyökeres cannot do by himself. Viktor Gyökeres needs service. Benjamin Sesko, go through his highlight reel. There's some of the goals that the Bayern goal is prime example. Some of the goals that he came up with and was able to put a finishing touch on, out of this worldies.
You don't think Viktor Gyökeres can score headers?
How many headed goals did he have this season?
Yeah, this season, 0. But the season before, he did have header goals. But impressive, though, that he had, out of all the goals that he scored, Viktor Gyökeres had 0 header goals. Maybe I shouldn't be giving you this information for the sake of my argument, but I did. I thought it was crazy.
No, I mean, this guy, 5. Yeah. 5 this season.
Yeah, he's 6'5". He's ginormous.
But they came in crucial moments. And how significant are things like set pieces in the Premier League? How significant are things when you're under the cosh, if you're Arsenal, and say you're playing against a PSG, where you're trying to do this? Imagine if they had that X factor and being able to put the ball into the box in the air against a goalkeeper like Gigi Donnarumma, who is Dracula's doing this. He's scared of crosses. Maybe they sneak that result in the Champions League. So that's my argument, Your Honor.
Of goals. And it's not just a one-off. It's not just a one-off, because the season before, he was absolutely slaying prolific goal-scoring numbers for a guy that is really unrivaled throughout Europe.
Mr. Lahoud, your response?
Look, I can't argue with the numbers. I was a math major. I believe in numbers, but there's weight in numbers, who you're scoring your goals against. And don't give me a crappy Manchester City back line, because there's a list of strikers in Europe and in England that scored against Manchester City. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko, baby. This guy gets it done in big games. Roll through the tape. Your Atletico Madrid, that's a big team last time I checked in the Champions League. Your Juventuses, that's another major, massive club going to the Bundesliga. I just have to go through the goal of the golazo he scored against Bayern Munich. So yes, Viktor Gyökeres will give you the volume of goals in a weaker league, but Benjamin Sesko, I love that his goal contributions, 21 of them, are coming in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. This guy is a blockbuster sort of forward with loads of potential to get more, to get high volume numbers. So I like my goals when they count, not just when it's convenient.
How did they do against Juventus and against Atletico Madrid?
He doesn't play defense, Nico. He did his job in the final third. You're going to hold players for how the back line does?
Gentlemen, please. I'm ruling this court. This is not counter-cross. This is making opening statements. So, adhering to the rules of this court. We've heard about the goal scoring. Arguments, please, for build-up play.
Listen, if you look at Viktor Gyökeres' heat map compared to Benjamin Sesko's heat map, they're very similar, both with influence in the box, less for Sesko outside of the box. But if you look at the depth, the heaviness of that heat map for Viktor Gyökeres, it is bright hot red inside of the box, but it's also bright hot red outside of the box. Although this guy has stature, yes, Sesko is taller than Viktor Gyökeres, but this guy by no means is a small man. He's a big boy. And you would think, all right, loft the ball to number 9. No. He peels out. He is part of the collective play, and he's quick on his feet too. He's not just a number 9. He is the definition of a modern player. And if you're talking about collective play, this guy brings everything you want in a striker.
Mr. Lahoud, please counter.
It's crazy. I was just thinking the exact same thing about Benjamin Sesko, and he gives you the type of variables that Mikel Arteta, I think, will ultimately get to, would like. He's a player that is the epitome of build-up play. Watching him under Marco Rose for RB Leipzig, there was a difference in how he played. He was actually dropping in the half spaces, receiving the ball, and he played with a strike partner in Lois Openda, where Openda would oftentimes be running in behind. If you're Arsenal, think of, they don't play with a front two, but think of Gabriel coming in, Martinelli, making those slashing runs. You need someone, and now Arsenal plays, who's good in holding up the ball, the size and the frame that you talked about. He's got that in abundance, but he's got better feet than Viktor Gyökeres. He's got the ability to blow through with the ball. He's deceptively quicker with the ball at his feet to create with those long legs, to create that separation that if you have the likes of Bukayo Saka, if you have Martinelli running off, I mean, this is the guy in terms of link-up play. He's made for that.
Okay, gentlemen, I would like you to put a case for the defensive impact that both of your proposers would bring.
This is a difficult one. I don't think any of our guys are going to have that defensive fortitude that you need. Sure, you would need a guy like this to track back, and like we were talking about, his areas of influence go beyond the box. Viktor Gyökeres, he's built, he's strong. I don't know how much running off the ball Benjamin Sesko's doing, but this is a guy that maybe defensively, I wouldn't expect him to be doing too much sacrificial work at Arsenal if it's Gyökeres or Benjamin Sesko.
I actually like his work rate off the ball defensively, and that's actually an under-slept on part of his game. And without the ball, going back to the European Championship, that was something that he had to do for his national team because they didn't have much of the ball. So he's willing to put the work in to set the press higher up the field. And without the ball, he's got that instinct to counter press. In the first 5 seconds, he's going to make both center backs work. And in England, you need to do that because if you don't do that against the top sides, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, and we know the rest of them, your Newcastle.